So to finish off our design, let's create a photorealistic render of this finished hexapod. So we're going to generate an image that looks something like this. And the way we do that is move from the model workspace into the render workspace. The ribbon changes, it's a much shorter ribbon, but generally we move from left to right. Starting at the appearance menu, we've already used this menu several times. We've applied appearances as we've gone along during our project, so you've already seen this menu. One thing to notice is once we've actually dragged component appearances onto this particular model, we're able to go in there and double click on them. So once they're in this white area, they become editable and we can actually change a particular color. So in this case, I'm going to make that a brighter green by just using that color picker. So if you can't see the material and the appearance that you actually want, bring it into the model and then make some changes to it and customize it to what you want. We can then move across to the scene setup. Now, if this is the first time that you've been into this area in Fusion 360, the chances are the background will be set to solid color. The environment is a better background to have selected because that brings into play the environment library, which has got a number of different photo studio lighting setups, as well as some photorealistic backgrounds. So I'm going to drag this one into the background. This is called Plaza, and now all of a sudden my hexapod is sat in the middle of a town square. Going back to settings, I can change the brightness of the scene using this slider, and if I use the position slider, I can actually hold the model still and rotate the background around it to get just the right background that I'm looking for my photorealistic render. I can also set the ground plane and flatten the ground, which is what I've already done here to make it appear as if it's sitting on the ground in the square. And then there's some advanced camera settings down here. So my background's now all set up. What I can do now is move to the decal area, and this allows me to import and put onto the surface of my model 2D images. And all I need to do is select that surface, select an image. I'm going to give my hexapod a bit of character by adding an eye to it. So you can see there that I can scale that down once it's brought in. I can rotate it round, and as I slide it around, you'll see that it makes a really nice job of following that complex surface. So that's how you bring a decal in. I've already got two decals already in this particular model, so that's where they are. I can now move across to this area called In Canvas Render, and if I click on this icon where it looks like a sphere with the play button in it, what you'll see is after a couple of seconds the whole screen will go speckled, and this is now doing something called ray tracing. So what it's doing is gradually working out this photorealistic image. The problem with this is as soon as I disturb that, it starts all over again. So it's best just to probably use a fast setting for that and very quickly get an idea for what your photorealistic image is going to look like. And once you've got that idea, then you can actually stop that in canvas render, because the best way of actually rendering is to render in the cloud. So you can now move to this teapot icon on the far right hand side, and once you click on that, it generates the render settings for your photorealistic render to be carried out by the cloud. So this is just loading at the moment. Once that comes up, I get to choose whether I'm going to use the final render on the web, on a mobile device. Maybe I want to print. I'm going to select the print option. You can now select a number of different sizes of images that you can create from that. When I click on this one, I'm going to use the cloud render. I need a final quality, and it tells you it requires 3 cloud credits to do that. If you're on an education license, your cloud credits are unlimited, so you don't really need to worry about that. It also tells you what your render queue time is, and as it says there, it's currently less than 20 minutes. So once I click on render, it will do a background save, and then it will submit this to the cloud to do the rendering. So this is now off into the cloud to actually do the rendering. I can now carry on and do some more work on this. Maybe I can create some more background setups. Maybe I want to change some appearances. I can do that very quickly and send those to the cloud as well. So in rendering through the cloud, I can do lots of things in parallel instead of waiting in series to actually do one render at a time. So that's now gone off to the cloud. So once that clock's appeared, I know that's in the cloud. Once it comes back from the cloud, what happens is you get the appearance down in that bottom panel there that it's come back, and when you click on that, you open up the rendering gallery, which will actually generate that image that's just been created down there. So it's been rendered by the cloud and then sent back down to your account. So we'll just wait for that to generate. Once that's generated, what you can then do is click on this download button, and this allows you to download that as an image that you can then use in any of your documentation. Maybe you want to bring it into Photoshop and do some work with it. So that's how you render in the cloud. This is how you set up your render, set up an appearance, a scene, apply any decals, check the renders, what you want, and then finally go to the cloud. And once you've done all of that, you end up with a photorealistic image that looks like this at the end. So that's the finish of our project. We've now gone from start to finish, and we've now got a photorealistic version of our final design.